All right, we've had some snacks, and here we're back. Just gotta get nice and cozy. Because coziness matters. Mm. Mm. Okay, my loves. Is that good? You can see us all. Okay. Bring a little mirror here. All right, and we're back. Just gonna put that song on again. The SARN conference. Feels very far away. It does not feel like a recent experience. It does not feel like an experience that I had. Um, it does not feel like an experience that I'm familiar with. It does not feel like an experience that actually happened. But I want it to be something that actually happened to me. So, Thursday night, it began, and there were a lot of implicit sensations and projections, like sitting in a big auditorium the way that we were, um, really reminded our parts of us that are about the church that we grew up in. My heart races a little bit just saying that out loud. Um, and so it was trippy because um, dissociation was just such a natural place to go. Even though I had no reason to be dissociating, it was just such an automatic sensation. Um, and I could tell my vestibular engagement was decreasing, and so we took our vestibular cushion for the last 2 days, or the third and fourth days. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days altogether. The first day was just a few hours at night, though. And so there are some implicit projections. And I could feel the age regression really strongly. Um, and I kept glancing to our friend for some reassurance and just connection. That social engagement system connection that could help root us in reality. I remember feeling very upset because the lights were really, really dimmed or almost off. Or they were off, I don't know. And so it was dark in the room. And without light, my brain has a hard time engaging. And so we were dissociating really badly, mainly because it was dark. Also because the speaker was far away. It was a really big room. And we were like in the middle or near the back, not in the first like half of the rows. And so speaker was far away. It reminded us of church from being a kid when dissociation started, which is trippy to say because there was never language for those experiences. And to acknowledge them through a more accurate language is like mind blowing. So good. Um, I know. I know a part of me would rather be watching TV and just chilling than doing this, but I'm glad we're doing this. Um, and so it was really dark. The speaker was far away. The place reminded us of the church we grew up where dissociation began, or when dissociation began. Um, and there was a lot of age regression and dissociation and struggling to sustain vestibular engagement while sitting. I remember at one point towards the end, we sat on both of our legs and just shifting the seat and being able to kind of rock back and forth like that. And then having our legs go numb actually helped our brain focus a little bit. But our poor legs got smushed. So we didn't do that again. Um, um, remember Thursday afternoon dissociating a lot, which was upsetting, or it felt a bit upsetting at the time, because that was our one time hanging out with our friend here at home, not being out and doing stuff. And we were really looking forward to that time. And we were really just dissociating a lot. And we felt pretty frustrated with ourselves, even though we really didn't need to be. Because it's all allowed, and we were doing our best, and we still got to be with our friend. And then I think it was either Thursday or Friday night. We stargazed. And then yeah, it was Thursday night. We must have stargazed. And then Friday night, we hung out in the cabin where he's staying here. Flying Pig B&B. I know. We used to live in that before it became the Flying Pig B&B. That was our home. That was your home. Um, um, and we listened to a couple songs from Tool's new album. And that was a really powerful meditative experience. We got to tickle each other's backs, which was nice. I feel like I haven't really had human contact in a safe way in a long time. And The day he got here, when he got here, Thursday morning, we got to give him a gift. And our littles were so happy. We were jumping up and down with giddy, squealing joy the whole time he was opening his present. And that brought us a lot of joy to notice our littles' reaction to that, or response to that. We put in a lot to the present, and so to have that seen, acknowledged, and so deeply appreciated was just so uplifting. A lot of the stuff we do is not in person, and so we don't get that in person feeling response. It's different. Cut through the dissociation in a different way. The dissociation makes the world less dimensional, and anything on a screen is less dimensional. So anything online kind of involves dissociation, whether we want it to or not. Anyway, so that was really nice to be able to give our friend that gift and have it be so appreciated. Hmm. My littles have dimples and I don't. It's just because we're miraculous. We don't have to feel strange. Anyway, so it was really cool to see our friend and have that human interaction. It had been over a year since we had seen him, which is crazy because our relationships used to be so, I don't know how to describe it. There wasn't enough patience to allow for that. Like if I didn't go that long without seeing somebody, our guardian parts would be activated to try and cut ties with them because missing them would activate the child parts, and then there'd just be this dissociation and all these needs that weren't being met, and it was just unbearable. And so our relationships were always fairly up and down, and at times it was because the people were being their own up and downness, unreliable, but a lot of it was our parts being activated in different ways and leading to different interactions that resulted in different things. So to have a friendship this long term where it stays strong even when we don't see each other is really powerful. And to stay in love with somebody when there isn't a physical closeness, and when there isn't a dating relationship, and when there isn't a plan of how to get together, and there isn't a promise that we will get together, and um, there isn't that codependency of relational interactions, is pretty profound. It was something that parts within me did not feel they were capable of before. So that's awesome, and I'm proud of us. Um, and so it was awesome to spend some time with our friend When he got here, he was super wiped out. He hadn't slept much and everything. And so he actually took a really big nap when he got here after opening presents. And he got us a present too. It was 2 shirts, one of which we're wearing now. And we love it. It's our new favorite shirt forever and ever. And then another shirt that's hanging in our closet. And then some medicine, some pain relief, a roll-on pain relief medicine. And that is just awesome. Like, it's so powerful. It smells good too. So I'm really thankful for that. So we opened gifts, and then he took a big nap. But during the nap, because of the social engagement that was so profoundly activated in such a healing way, where our future suddenly felt like it existed again, we did a whole bunch of work. We did a whole bunch of work, and it felt really good. And we were so focused and so disciplined and so in a state of joyous flow. And a part of me forgot how possible that was. I want to have that. I want to have that more. I want to feel like a real person more, and I want to feel like the work I'm doing is for a future I'm building and not just for right now. That was such a good feeling. I just want that feeling more. I want that feeling. So we really enjoyed that, and anyway, I'm really proud of us. We stuck with our vegetarian lifestyle even when it was not what we wanted to do, not what the feelings wanted to do. Like, we ate out at an Italian restaurant, and we wanted pizza with meat on it so badly. And we went out to Chinese food, and we wanted meat so badly. And there were these dishes at the lunches that were served that had some really tasty, classy looking meat. Real high quality stuff. And we went to In-N-Out. And we wanted a burger so bad. But we stuck with the lifestyle we feel called to, rather than the feelings we felt in the moment. And that was powerful, and I'm proud of us. And we stuck with our cooking, even when it was inconvenient. We stuck with our routines, even when it was tough to do so. Still meditated, still did yoga, still ate our own cookings here. One of the times we were cooking at like 5 in the morning. We couldn't sleep. And one of the times we were cooking at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. And so late nights. It wasn't morning. That was nighttime for us. It wasn't morning. And so really proud of us for that. Really proud of us for that. Really, really proud of us for that. I know. I feel overwhelmed by how many different persons are present, and how many different ideas there are, and how many different feelings there are, and how many different types of memory systems there are. And it's really overwhelming and intense and all consuming, and it feels like everything is closing in while everything is just like ever flowing, and it's like, it's a lot. But I'm glad everybody's here. I'm glad everybody's here, even though it's intense. I do not need to escape my feelings. I get to just be present with them. Part of me wants to go cuddle a bunny and just stay in that space. A part of me wants to just watch a movie, TV show, stay in that space. But a part of me knows that this processing is what we need to do right now. Part of me wants to work on projects. And those three parts I described, wanting to hold the bunny, wanting to watch TV, and wanting to work on stuff, those are Muppet states, protector states, and normal states, although we're changing the names, so it would be a restorator state, a protector state, and a lucid state. We'll process it more later, but last night was powerful. Long story short, we were experiencing some severe suicidal ideations during the day. A fever hit us. We were depressed that our friend left. We felt depressed from our friend leaving. We felt very overwhelmed and lost. We still hadn't recovered from the dissociative episode the day before. Like, our body-brain system just never really fully came back. And it probably won't until after our vagus nerve adjustment in a couple hours. But we knew that we needed to stay. We knew that we would regret giving up. We knew that our feelings were only a part of the story of what was happening, even though it was the only part that we could feel. And so we stuck it out. We had to lay down for some of it, which is fine. Give our body a rest. And we went to it was I think it was I think it was The Way of Love That Sets You Free, Coming to Peace with All That Arises in Everyday Life with Gail Brenner. I'm pretty sure that was it. We went to that one, and we actually engaged. So there was one we went to. I don't remember which one it was. But anyway, we spoke up in a couple of them, which I'm so proud of us for. I'm actually not sure which ones they were, but that's okay. Anyway, so we were in this one and we spoke up a couple times. Even though we were like not even there, and I couldn't recognize the sound of our own voice and all sorts of things. Just stayed true to our heart space. And so I
Yeah, our heart space is our identity. We learned that this weekend. We learned a lot. We took crap tons of notes, like literally like almost a whole notebook full. And so we were in this talk. She was asking about, I don't even remember what it was, but we spoke up, and our answer was wary uncertainty. I remember that. What happens when it, I don't know how to put words to it. Something about the experience of other. Like you're here, there's other over there. We use the example of a person, another person. How does that make you feel? And so we talked about these feelings that arise from the sense of the other. And then she turned this example inward and said, how often do we do this with our internal relation or experience, or the relationship we have with ourselves? And we make our internal experience the other. And how it doesn't feel good, basically. It was really powerful. And then we were talking, and then I was like, well, how do you... I asked the question in a microphone, which was cool. Hearing ourselves in a microphone always processes our voice differently in our brain. It's really cool. It's really cool. I'd love to explore that. I feel like it's a clue. So you noticed that before too. When we would record ourselves as a kid, when we would sing into a microphone, we sounded completely different than what we sounded like the rest of the time. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a clue. It's a clue. Follow the clues, Blue's Clues. So anyway, we were in this, and we asked a question about, how do you have intimacy within yourself without attachment? Like, how do you have intimacy with your experience without being attached to it? Because she started it by saying, like, you shouldn't be attached. You shouldn't agree with what's going on. And then she was saying, but you should be intimate with your experience with yourself. And it was not making sense. But I wanted it to. So I was like, well, how do you have intimacy within your experiences without having attachments? And how do you create space for expression of emotion without, like, agreeing with them? Because she was saying to not agree with the messages of our mind. And I'm like, well, if you're disagreeing with everything that goes on, or you're not responding or whatever, then, like, how do you create space to express this stuff and have intimacy within your experiences of yourself? And she tried to answer. I felt like she was having a hard time articulating herself. Like, I felt like she had all the answers, but she couldn't describe it in a way that other people could get. Maybe that was just me, I don't know. It wasn't just me. There was another woman who was sensing that too. But anyway, so I'm really proud of us for speaking up. We spoke up a few times. In a philosophy class too. Kingsley was there. I remember because our heart was racing when we were trying to formulate the question, speak it. I don't remember the specifics of that, but I'm really proud of us. That must have been a couple days ago. Yeah. I think that was before our dissociative experience. It was our relationship to truth with David Freeman on Friday afternoon. Oh, okay. So a few days ago, not Saturday. Wow, Friday was a really good day. I just don't remember it right now. Friday was a really good day. Huh. Yeah, I'm seeing some of the notes of what we went to. Friday was a really good day. Wow. Cool. I'm glad we had those experiences, even if we can't remember them right now. Which feels difficult for a part of me to say, but it's the truth. Interesting. Yeah. So on Friday afternoon, our relationship to truth with David Freeman, we also spoke up. Impressive. Very impressive. A part of me feels very upset about the things that we missed on Saturday during our dissociative episode. But see, my friends, we can't control things. And I'm proud of you for being open to new experiences, and I'm proud of you for being so courageous through it all, and I'm proud of you for taking every moment as an opportunity. And we'll have more experiences. This isn't the end of our experiences. The experiences we craved within the things that we missed will come again. It might not be the exact same thing at the exact same place, but the energy of what we were desiring within these experiences will come again. We're allowed to have faith in that. And I am sorry that you didn't get to go to those. I know you really wanted to. I know. But it's okay that we weren't able to. So, yesterday. Can't go. You don't have to feel bad. It wasn't your fault that we missed it. It wasn't your fault. I know you feel like you should have done XYZ. But we can let that go. I think there is a bit of disruption where one part is blaming another. I think that's what this is. We don't need to blame each other, though. We're all in this together. And we go through things together. We felt like we were where we needed to be. And we felt like this was an experience worth exploring. And we felt like what stumps us is that I think we stayed because we felt this obligation to our friend. And we were afraid of interrupting his experience. And I am really sorry for that. I'm very sorry that we were afraid to speak our truth. I am very sorry for that. Will you forgive me? I love you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Please forgive me. I love you. I'm sorry. Thank you. So we were in this thing yesterday, though, with Gail Brenner as the speaker, I believe. She asked our question, and we were, somewhat engaged in the energies of the room. There's a woman behind us and slightly to the left who asked a question, and I could feel her energy really strongly. And I could kind of feel the questions of her consciousness and the tension she held within herself. And at the end of the talk, I followed my heart space impulses, my soul self in prompting. And I went up and I said, "Hi, I'm Kristen." Shook hands, introduced myself, sat down. And I was like, "I just wanted to share something with you that came up while you were speaking, if that's okay." She's like, "Yeah." We gave the metaphor of being in the eye of the storm and your thoughts and everything are spinning around you, and you kind of just are in that stillness without becoming the storm. We explained it differently, but that was the gist of it. And we ended up going out in the hall as the next thing started because we were still talking, and sitting down in some chairs in the downstairs seated area, lounging area. And we talked for over an hour, and I explained human consciousness from the inside out using my diagram. And I explained where her thoughts were coming from and why. And I explained that she's love, light, and miracles in the core of her consciousness. And shared a little of my story and listened to her share some things. And had her look at herself in the mirror that I had with me and ask what she sees, how she feels about what she sees. And was able to explain things, and she said that was more helpful than any of the other speakers she heard that day. And that was powerful and profound and touched me deeply. Because when I use technology, there is a level of dissociation. And sharing our truth through a level of dissociation has held many challenges. Because even the receptive response comes through in a dissociatively processed manner, not a full body experience, which is what it needs to be for all parts to know about it. And so when we get positive comments, our, parts of consciousness more on the right side of our diagram are activated. When we get the negative comments, it's more activated on the left side of our diagram. And there really isn't a balance of everyone interacting and being involved together. The one exception I will say, though, is that when we did the live, we had the video premiere of the Neurobiology Playing Tricks on Me song we did and posted. Because the comments were in real time, it felt a little bit more real, so that's a plus. But in general, our interactions with sharing your truth are very dissociative and not being fully processed. And that's made it really tough to want to continue sharing online. Yeah, really tough. I've never really actually said that out loud, I don't think. It's made it really tough to want to continue sharing online. And so that was like just magical and profound, and it was cool because yesterday morning when I was feeling like just not, not great, we wrote something down. Here, at 10 a.m. And we were still in a somewhat good place from having a good long cry and then doing a nice meditation with our mirror outside by our palm tree. And so even though we were dissociated to some degree, we were grounded also. We wrote down, "I prayed to meet a soul seeking self-insight so that I may offer my uniquely specialized gift within this healing journey day. And so it is. I prayed to meet her. And I followed my heart space to go to the class I was meant to go to. And I followed my heart space and staying in tune with what was happening, even though we were dissociated. I followed my heart space and staying in the day when we really did not want to. The impulses to just up and leave were so fucking strong for hours. Like every moment for hours. It was really intense to consciously choose to stay every moment, every moment, every moment, every moment. But we prayed to meet her, and we did. We spoke for over an hour. And none of it was planned. I didn't have to pre-plan what I was saying. It just flowed. And even when my memory couldn't get to a few pieces of information, I was able to redirect myself instead of focusing on that. And I was able to extend a congratulatory sense of pride to myself instead of being like mad about the few things we, for extend congratulatory pride for all the things we were able to say, rather than focusing on the few things that we forgot and being mad at parts or feeling upset with myself. We will keep going through this. We will keep experiencing times of depression, anxiety, dissociation, traumatic stress flares, projections. But that doesn't define us, and we don't have to judge the experience because it's all allowed. And even through things that we don't necessarily enjoy, we can embrace who we are. We can embrace where we are. We can embrace the full spectrum of this human experience. We can let go of judging ourselves or judging our experience. We can let go of trying to force life to be what we think it should look like and just creating space to feel whatever we're feeling wherever we are. And we don't have to force things. And things don't have to be perfect. Like if my room's messy for a few days and we just don't have the energy to clean it, I don't need to be mad at myself for having a messy room or being lazy or not pushing myself more. Is one of infinite examples. And so overall, oh, right. And so after that, a part of me was like, okay, we met her. We did our good deed for the day. It's almost done anyways. Let's just go home. No, we're staying till the end. So we go in for the closing ceremony. And part of me is like, just sit in the back on the end row so you can get up and leave if you want to. No, let's go up at least to like the middle area and sit down. And so we found a space between two women so it would feel less threatening. Sitting next to people has felt very threatening. And it was really hard to be present when we were sitting next to somebody. But we processed through that a bit, and the feelings were not intense by the end as they were at the beginning. So we grew in that way. And so we sat between two women, and we were actually able to initiate conversation with both of them, one at a time, and inquire and create space for their response and create space for our response without overthinking it, and create space for honesty and authenticity and raw vulnerability. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And then the way they did it was there were these two circles. There was a larger circle of witnesses, and those were like 4 rows deep chairs, approximately, maybe more, maybe like 6 or 6. And then there was a smaller circle of chairs in the center of the room. And they invited people. There were like maybe 7 or 8 chairs or something. I honestly don't remember. And only 2 of them were filled with leaders, sitting across from each other, and there were empty chairs around them, between them. And they invited people to come sit, to share, be witnessed. And my heart immediately started pounding, kind of dropped to my gut. I started to drip sweat. I was already dripping a little bit of sweat from speaking to that woman for over an hour, and then speaking to these 2 women in the chairs beside me. We were dripping sweat, and that whole time we were talking. Anyway, and so I could feel these things, and she's like, the woman speaking was like, you'll know if you feel inspired to come sit, because your heart might start beating faster. And the chairs filled up immediately, and I'm like, oh, well, guess I can't go. We've made a promise to ourselves. If the chairs open up again, and they create space for another round, we go. And we don't think about it. We just lift our body and go. And so the whole time people are talking, I could tell my brain was like trying to create something like, okay, well, if I'm going to go, I need to know what I'm saying beforehand. And we kept coming back to, we'll know what to say when the moment comes. And we breathe deeply and return to the present moment. And this happened maybe like 40 times. Like, it was a lot. It kept going. Yeah, like at least 40 times. 42, 47, 50, 55. And so they did. And they did the round, and then they created space for another round. And I moved my body without allowing my mind to be involved. And we went up. And we had a general idea of what we wanted to say. Kind of just with 2 key phrases rather than like prepared sentences. Which is a good spirit-driven way to do these things. The key phrases were new moon, shedding, and cracked open. And right before it was my turn, we're about halfway through the circle, right before it was my turn, our turn, it was a man who had been running a healing booth outside during the conference, and I'd watched his work. It was pretty cool. He would use sounds, sound healing, different sounds, and so we did the sound healing for his time of sharing, and his sharing was right after a 75-year-old man shared in tears as we held hands. And that was so powerful, because I want to be able to heal from the way that I perceive men in the world. I want to be able to create space with compassion and not have this automatic judgment and resistance towards their own existence. So that was powerful for him to share. We were all holding hands. And the man next to me to my right, was a black man, African American man, I should say. And the girl to my right was a little girl, maybe like 10 years old, if I had to guess. And so just to be surrounded by all the types of people that I never felt connected with was really powerful. And so, 75-year-old man shared, and then it was this man sharing his sound healing. And him and another man who was off to the side played these instruments. And the man in the circle was this really big, long horn. And the whole room chanted Om, or chanted something, I think it was Om. And I could barely create vocal vibrations. I was just sobbing. Just sobbing. I can't believe this is real. Oh my god. And so that was amazing, and we were just, it was just tears streaming down my face. The microphone came to me because the man to my right was a facilitator, not a sharer. So then the microphone came to me, and I remember starting it by just being super open. I was like, all right, now that I'm all emotional, let me share. Got a small chuckle from the crowd, which was validating. I don't remember the exact words, and that's okay, but I shared that today is the new moon. It's a time of shedding. And it was hard to get it out. I was crying while I was talking, which is powerful in itself, to be able to be so vulnerable like that. Usually it's crying or speaking. To do both is like profound. And so I'm dissociating right now. Interesting. When I shared that I'd been in intensive trauma recovery for 2 years and hadn't really been around people very much. I was recovering from 20 years of stuff. And one of the men in the circle just put his hands on his heart. And that was so affirming for a man, a grown man, to have compassion for me in a way that I could feel it, not just perceive the idea of it. Just such an openness from everybody. It wasn't I have compassion for you. It was this energetic connection of compassion. It's different. And so we shared that we'd been in trauma recovery, and it was a lot of internal work. But the message at the beginning of this month was very clearly, you've done the stuff in here, now it's time to do the stuff out there, connecting with people. I didn't know what that would look like, but now I know, is what I said. Started crying again. Or still, whatever. Continuously. Intermittently. And I shared that I had just been cracked open. And everything that I had... everything, all the parts of my humanity I had been afraid of were actually the parts that connect us. And I shared something more about that, how all the feelings, all the sensations, all the energetic aspects of being human that had felt so scary and overwhelming were actually the beautiful thing that unite us. And that I was coming to this conference, expecting or hoping to learn a lot. And I explained that the speakers were not what the conference was about. Even though that's what the conference was comprised of, it wasn't what the conference was about. The conference was about an energy, and the speakers were just a catalyst. And that energy, tapping into our true humanity, is what this world needs. The whole world needs it to heal. And to get a taste of that when I need it most. It's just profound. So profound. I was thanked for sharing by many people, including the man to my right and a few women afterwards. A man also afterwards. So I did that, finished the circle. There were some more people talking and stuff. We had to run to the bathroom. Our shedding took a peek. And we got back and sat on the floor, and we noticed that was a submissive part, feeling unworthy of going back to the chairs because we had ducked out. So we caught it and went back into the chairs. And then there was a very powerful thing that happened. We were not wearing, and this, yeah, we don't need a disclaimer. It is what it is. We were not wearing a bra. We hate bras. Absolutely fucking hate them. We only wear them because society says we're supposed to. And I feel like I'm not allowed to be in public without somehow covering the shape of my breasts. I feel like living in a woman's body in a natural way is not allowed in public. And we've recognized this and have been desiring to transform that perception and experience of life through consciousness. And so we didn't wear a bra. It was a cold day, so we just had our sweatshirt on the whole day. But we took our sweatshirt off and wrapped it around our waist because we had blood through our pants. Because our shedding took a peek. And we waited to go take care of it out of a submissive obligation to stay where we were. But we recognized that, finally left. And I'm proud of us for not reacting to that, because once upon a time, just seeing that I would have left right then and there, feeling very embarrassed and ashamed. But if they would have laughed, just be like, it is what it is. It's all loud. Just a part of this person experience. It's all okay. And so we had our sweatshirt wrapped around our waist. And the shirt we were wearing is a red and white striped one, and it's very thin fabric. And it's not like you could see through it or anything, but it did not conceal the shape of our nipples. And feeling this programming arise that men will only see me for the shape of my body and not respect me as a person. Feeling that being honest with what my body is will evoke the worst in men. Feeling that judgment was the only possibility from living in my body without shame. Feeling that feeling, we looked at the time and it got to over an hour, so the minutes part says 0, and we're like, wait a second, 0 minutes. Feels like it's been longer than 0 minutes. That's funny. And we noticed the hour. Anyway. And so just feeling all this programming, all this judgment, all this lack of safety. I had started in middle school and continued on, and really been, proven as we were an adult, being assaulted many times, and people being so inappropriate, getting catcalled, all the stuff, in all the years for over a decade. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of fucked up stuff. And so felt all that arising. And so we'd gone back and sat in the chairs, even though we felt like embarrassed at first about that. We were like, no, we're allowed. It's allowed. We're allowed. We're allowed to be here. And they ended the ceremony with a group hug. And it's cool because it wasn't planned. I didn't plan that. They asked for ideas of ways to end it. People shouted out some ideas, and we went for a group hug. So from the center out, everyone came in and made sure that we were touching somebody. And there was a man to my right, and I didn't have a lot of room to stand, so he was standing so close that my breast was being touched ever so slightly by his jacket. And I could feel all the programming coming up, all the flares, all the uncertainty, all the unsafety, all the impulses to run or hide or be small or be aggressive. And I could feel the resentment towards men and the resentment towards womanhood. And I just breathed into it and created space to transform that through a new experience. Where we weren't ashamed of wearing a shirt without a bra, and we weren't ashamed of having breasts, and we weren't afraid of human contact, and we didn't attach associations with a new experience, old associations with a new experience. And as I wrapped my right arm around this man, and I put my left hand on a woman, and we all leaned in for this group hug, and we chanted together, Om Shanti, 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 Om, Om. Tears began pouring down my face, and I knew what it could feel like to be at home in my being. I knew what it could feel like to feel safe. I knew what it could feel like to be allowed to be who I am. I knew what it could feel like to not be afraid of the people around me. I knew what it could feel like to be welcomed into a space without judgment or expectation. I knew what it could feel like to let go of this fear of being who I am, where I am, how I am. I knew what it could feel like to be connected with myself and others simultaneously. I knew what it could feel like to feel good, to exist in a way I have not known in a long time. A very, very, very long fucking time. and in a way I've never known. So I had our group hug, and things ended, and gathered my things, got my feather that was on the floor. People thanked me again for sharing. I felt so touched, so seen. And there was something extra powerful about it being in person by a stranger. In person by someone who already knows me, or by a stranger online, doesn't connect the same way that this connected. This was so powerful. And so I was like, well, I guess time to go home. I was like, I can't just leave. What? And so we took it slow and easy, took a few pictures out on the patio, kind of soaked up those last few moments. We walked to our car. I think we were chanting or something quietly to ourselves, I forget. Or maybe playing with our shadow or just being present internally or something. But as we reached the parking garage, we were like, I don't want to leave. I'm not leaving because I desire to leave. I'm leaving because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do right now. So I caught myself and I turned around and walked all the way back from the parking garage up to the building areas. We went to our palm tree. We had paused there on the way out and hugged it and taken a picture and said thank you and goodbye. But that was more with an agenda of it's time to leave, not a real desire from the heart space. And so we went back and we did a powerful ceremony with it for a while, who knows how long. And we hugged the tree and we sang the tree into ourselves. And by the end of it, our cosmic self was there with her amazing accent. Ugh, so sexy. I know, I would love to explore what healthy sexuality is supposed to look like. Or can look like, I should say. There's no supposed to in the world. We did this powerful ceremony. We sang. We chanted. We spoke affirmations and we called in new realities and spoke and sang in light languages and we let our voice get louder as we went. And exactly. And then that word grew louder and louder until it was a battle cry. Exactly. So we stayed there for a while. In that safe sanctuary of our palm tree. Much taller than our palm trees here at home. We allowed for release. We allowed for new presence. Created space for a new experience. We created space for a new level of growth and transformation. And the vibration was so powerful that our cosmic self got to come hang out. And so, after a while, we decided that we desired to leave and move through to the moments ahead. And as we walked towards our car, we put our sweatshirt on too, which was cool. We let go of caring if someone saw that we had fled through our pants. Put our sweatshirt on because we were cold. We took care of ourselves, first and foremost. And our internal self, not our external self. Like our internal sensations, not the external appearance of who we are. For clarification. So as we walked to our car, we sang. We sang as we walked, and we let our voice get louder and more bold, and let go of who could hear us, let go of worrying, let go of being afraid of being heard, let go of being afraid of being seen. And we sang loudly and beautifully. And we sang in a language where we didn't know what we were saying explicitly. And we let go of needing to worry about how that might be interpreted. Hi. Did you guys hear that? That was not from any piece of technology. Yo, what up, angels? Nope. It was not from any piece of technology. Hello. Hello. Cosmic beings. Oh, what a trip. Confirmation. What a trip. And so we sang. And we enjoyed the feeling of singing and let go of any worry that we would normally have. Usually often have. And we kept singing. Even when people walked past, even when we walked past people in cars. And as we descended into the parking garage and our visual sensations got dark, we kept singing and we began recording. Opening up our car. And we began recording midway. One thing that used to happen is we would pause what we were doing and compose ourselves so the beginning of the recording would sound perfect. And we let go of that. So this is how the recording starts. And we put it into a loop through our podcast app so that we could listen to it for over 20 minutes with the recording continually restarting. So it starts with and that kind of thing used to embarrass me. Like I would have, back in the day, gone back, edited the recording so that it started at a place that sounded good, and then done this. We didn't do that. This is the part where we were singing and we were walking down into the parking garage. And I love it because I can remember the visual because we recorded this and then listened to it for hours last night. I helped the memory be processed or more accessible. Giggle right there. And so we were able to do that, and it was awesome because the parking garage was empty when we walked down there, which was an awesome blessing. We got to just really be present with the echoing of our song in just such a safe space. It would have still been a safe space if there were people there, but there was something really profound and serene with just having that moment to myself. And as I started recording, I could feel the insecurities arise. Like, wait, how does this sound? Is this okay? And we kind of let those go as we entered the parking garage and just leaned into it. And we opened the car like, okay, it's time to go. And then we caught ourselves and we paused and stood outside our van, even once it was open and our stuff was in it, to keep singing and lean into the experience. We ended it, got in our car. A part of us almost regretted stopping, and so we tried to get back out and redo it. People were walking in, and we were like, well, I can't just like start singing now. Like walking into the garage. Like I would have been singing before, but I can't just randomly bust out a song as people walk up to me. Which, again, was programming, but we had exerted a lot of energy in reprogramming, so we kind of gave ourselves space to just let that one go. So we sat in our car and processed, and we recorded a video several minutes long until the memory on our phone got full. And we'll check that out too. Yeah, we could look at it now.
I'm leaving the SAN conference in a moment. I want to share reflections while they are
Oh my god, that voice. That voice.
fresh. I feel completely cracked open. I feel a deep calling to help.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make the fear stop, but it does make me feel more desire to show up than
I know, right?
like the desire to show up transcends the intensity of the fear. And that's what I have been craving but couldn't find. I feel deeply connected to all aspects of myself, human life and beyond. I feel allowed. Allowed to be who I am. Allowed to live with multiple inner persons in my body. Allowed to.
Oh, I almost forgot. Wow. Twice at the conference, we were open about living with multiple inner persons, and we were able to explain it in a casual and effective manner that was grasped and appreciated, understood, and marveled at. That was powerful. That was deeply profound. I think it was Friday night. There was the poster presentation, and we got to play before going to dinner. There was a woman who had a project about recording 2-minute clips about people's experience with awakening or coming to that place of universal understanding, something bigger than us. Gosh, yeah, we chatted for a while and my voice changed and one of my littles popped out. I explained. She thought that was so amazing, and she was like, wow, so you're really just like creating space for all these different parts of you. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing my best. She's like, that is so amazing, wow. And then with the woman that we spoke with yesterday, it happened again, the voice change. And I explained, my consciousness developed uniquely so that there's different people inside of me. They all have different voices and different experiences of the body, different memory systems. And so sometimes, if my voice changes or whatever, that's what's happening. She just thought that was so amazing and extraordinary. That was marvelous. So yeah, that reminded me of that, because it was really this inspired moment of realizing that when we stand in our own truths and we're not embarrassed of what's going on, and we present it in a conversationally casual way, people can connect with it. It's when I feel afraid and that energy shows in what I'm saying, or I can't explain it in a way that they can connect with the information, that there's distance, and that's where things can be scary for one or both parties. And so that was really powerful to know that there is a way to explain adaptable consciousness condition in a way that other people who don't know about the depths of consciousness or neurobiology or trauma or anything can actually get. That was powerful. Wow.
Sporadically age regress, allowed to dissociate every day.
Oh yeah, and then at the dance party on Saturday night, it was the end of the day. We'd only gotten 2 hours of sleep the night before. We'd already been at the conference for 15 hours. We'd had that really bad dissociative episode earlier. We still hadn't fully come back. And this concert was loud. The vibrations alone had us in a very, very dissociative state. And we age regressed. And we just made space for whoever was present to dance. And it was kind of just like a bobbing in our knees. Because that's about the maximum body awareness that a child has. And I realized I could only consciously be in one or two parts of my body at once. If I wanted to move my arms, I couldn't really focus on anything else. And if I was moving a certain, I couldn't move my arms and my hands simultaneously. And if I was focusing on moving my hands, I couldn't really focus on moving my feet. I could only really focus on moving one thing at a time. My feet, or my legs, or my hands, or my arms, or my hips, or my midsection body, or my head. I could not move two things simultaneously to dance during an age-regressed restorative state of consciousness. So that was really trippy to observe, but I'm really proud of us. I'm so thankful for that time of just dancing with whoever was there. Cena came out briefly. We worked towards that, but it didn't last long.
No, that's not what I desire. It is allowed, and I embrace the sacredness of my inner experience, and I let go of the judgment and of what I...
That was part of the message yesterday in the room where we met that woman we spoke with for over an hour, was that your inner experience is sacred, and there shouldn't be judgment, and there's allowed to be presence.
Believed it was supposed to be, or look like, or feel like. I create space for my infinite expansion. I create space to continue growing. I recognize that a part of me was feeling like, we've grown enough, can't we just stop already? But that was just fear, and fear is not who we are. And I have felt, a part of me has felt afraid of speaking our truth. What if this doesn't create the change that we hope it would? What if people aren't receptive? What if people don't get it? What if we can't remember what we're trying to say? What if people don't respond in the way we hope they would? What if people don't like what we have to say? What if people don't respond at all and nobody actually cares?
This is the first time putting a voice to our fears. We've kind of just been trying to tough through it and not let the fear have space. But in doing that, I've realized that we've been feeding it unconsciously. And by not acknowledging it and bringing it into the light, everything must be brought into the light for it to be healed. No bypassing.
But that fear is a projection of a bad outcome. It's not
That was another thing we learned.
the truth. It's not what will happen. And it does not need to rule my life any longer. I am love, light, and miracles at the core of my being, and even when I don't feel that, it is still fucking true.
Yes.
And I am allowed to keep fighting for my rainbow so that my light grows so big and so expansive that the whole world knows my name, and I don't need to be afraid of being known anymore. I create space to release the fear. Mother Gaia, soak it up. Father Sky, pour into me the hopes and dreams that I have been fearing to embrace. I create space for my expansion. I create space to transcend myself again and again and again and again. Not because there is anything wrong with me, not because I am broken, not because I need healing and changing, but because I am worthy of uncovering my infinite potentiality. I am worthy of uncovering the truth of who I am, and it is not fear, and it is not pain, and it is not my experiences. And I create space to take radical action, not from a place of stress and needing to get things done and overthinking, but from a heart-centered space of a desire to share my truth with the world. I create space for infinite magical energies of love and light and miracles to flow through me and help rewire my consciousness so that the truth that a part of me knows is a truth that all of me can know.
Yeah.
I create space to be who I am even when I don't know who I am. I create space to show up even when I am terrified of showing up. I create space to speak even when I have no idea what I am going to say.
Yeah, it's a lot though.
I create space to acknowledge the story so that they can be intertwined into a new story of healing, hope, health, prosperity.
So good. So good.